That's weird. Host displaced attending screen sharing. Who's the host? So maybe you can turn on the sharing screen.
Yep, I can.
Because this is what it's telling me.
But then I'm sharing my screen.
No, but you need to maybe go to the options so you allow him.
Oh,
You have to allow me because it said host displaced things.
you can try now, maybe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's okay like this?
Perfect.
Okay, so before I just talked about when Israel was established, I want to go just a bit early before this, which is just talk in general about the Zionist, the Zionist Jew, which is we're thinking about to occupy the land of Palestine from long time ago, even from before the British mandate occupied Palestine. It was in their plan and their schedule. And also, I could mention the first meeting for the Zionism group. It was in 1897, which is in this conference they start talking about the identity of the Jewish, and they talk about more details about how to create the countries. They talk about how to make it more clear even for the world in general and make people believe that this land it is for the Jewish and the Zionist is not for the Palestinian. And since that, after that conference, they start working more and focusing even more in media in general and sharing more as much they can information about Palestine and related this land to the Jewish until the British mandate came to Palestine. One of the words they were saying also before, which is from this guy Herzl, which is he was saying that أرض بلا شعب وشعب بلا أرض, which is he was talking about the land of Palestine, which is land without people and people without land. You know what is the mean? That mean like the Jewish they don't have a land and they already they found the land which is Palestine because there is no people. So that's why we're saying this. أرض بلا شعب, land without people and people without land. And then slowly they start sending more the Jewish to Palestine, especially during the when the British mandate were in Palestine. 1917, when the British made Balfour Declaration, and through this declaration, they allowed the Jewish to move to Palestine. And during that time, it's making it also more difficult for the Palestinians in general, especially the one who's living in the land like 1948, which is Haifa, Akka, Lid, all of these cities, which is where today Israel established. So of this declaration, it makes it more easier for the Jewish and gives them the rights also to be in this land. For us as a Palestinian, from the beginning, we never said there is no rights for the Jewish to be in this land. Before Israel came, before British mandate came even to Palestine, we were living as a Christian, Muslim, and Jewish in Palestine. And even we were like Jewish, Palestinian Jewish in that time. If we talk about before 1948, we have about 3% of the Palestinian Jewish in Palestine. After this, the British mandate started give training to these Jewish soldiers and especially to the Zionist Jewish soldiers who arrived to Palestine. They give them a military training. They start supporting them with the guns money, whatever they need. And in 1948, British mandate left Palestine, and they gave all the power to the Jewish Zionists, and they occupied Palestine. In 1948, they do a lot of crimes. One of the famous stories, which is you could read also more about it, Deir Yassin. It's called one of the villages nearby Jerusalem. They went to this village. They killed lots of people, children, young people, old people, women. It doesn't mean doesn't matter the age who was in that village. They raping the women. They did a lot very, very, very difficult crime inside these villages. The villages who lives nearby Deir Yassin, they left before the Zionists entered their homes, because they were afraid that it's gonna happen to them as what happened to the people who was living in Deir Yassin. And this is not just the first story. Also, there's another villages was many stories happen in the same way, which is killing people and different things doing. And after this, the families, they start moving from their homes to the safe places, because also they start attacking the villages with the airplane, with the tanks, bombing the villages, and the families, they start moving from their homes, which is, it depends which is where is the closest place to them and safe that they could move to it. And the people who live in the north, they move some of them to the north of Palestine or outside Palestine, which is like to Lebanon. And some people who live in the south, they moved to the south of Palestine. After this, United Nations started renting lands and creating things for all these families. If I'm talking about just 1948, over than 700,000 people left their homes just during 1948. And after that, UN started creating refugees camp in Lebanon, in Syria, in Jordan, in Gaza and West Bank. And Aida camp, it is one of these refugees camp, which is officially was established in 1950. To be honest, in the beginning, the families, they thought it's gonna be for really short time. They thought it's gonna be for 1 week, 2 weeks, and then they will go back to their homes. But it takes more than they expected. Even the families, they don't have the chance to take any much stuff from their homes. They just take the main documents of the land or of the house, and they close the house and they took the key with them. And that's why today you could see in different posters the key, or in the graffitis. This key, it's come very simple for all these refugees, and it's talking about their rights of return. And also that's why in the entrance of the camp we have this key, because it means a lot for these refugees, and it still gives them a hope that they will go one day and back to their original homes. The moment they arrive to the camps, they have to start their life from the beginning. I'm talking about Aida camp, because all the refugees camp, the same stories and the same conditions, kind of everywhere. Aida camp, it was an empty land. In the beginning, UNRWA rented this land for 99 years. And then each family who arrived to this camp, they give them a tent. They live under these tents between 5 to 7 years, which is they found it difficult for these families to continue living under these tents. So they decide to build them after small rooms, which is, if I go to this picture, this kind of like, this is the way how it was built, the tent for all the families. They start give them simple foods from the UN, which is the United Nations, and which is, they found it really difficult during the summer because it's really hot, and also in the winter it's like always difficult for them to live under these tents. So after 5 years living under these tents, they decide to build them the small rooms, which is, if the family was up to 7, they build them 2 rooms, as you see in this photo. Each room 3 by 3 meters. If the family up to 7, they give them 2 rooms. So as you see in this picture, you could see how it looks like the rooms in the beginning. Later, all the houses of Aida camp, which is as you see in this picture, it's completely different. Each family slowly, when they start work and they have money, they build their own house. And as you see, some families, they have 3 floors, 4 floors, or 2. It depends how much they have space and how much they can build in the top of the house. Today, we're talking about 5,000 people live in Aida camp in a space less than half kilo square meter. And the families who live in Aida camp, they came originally from 27 different villages, which are mainly located between Hebron and Jerusalem, which is not far away from Aida camp. It's just like 30 to 35 minutes driving, you could reach any of these villages. But since 1948, because it's under Israeli occupation control, we're not allowed to access these lands. And also, most of these lands are not used, still empty, but they destroyed most of the houses there. So if anyone comes from abroad to visit the country and visit one of these villages, they will find out that was never been here like people. So some of it, they use it completely all. They build in it marketing, malls, football stadium, animal zoo. It depends what they want. So this is what is happening inside these villages. Today, life it's getting more difficult. Even every year, it's getting more harder in these refugees camp. This is some of the pictures also from the camp I live in. It's getting every year more crowded and more difficult, the condition inside the camp, because the same space we got in the 50, we still have it the same. Not much space between the houses. As you see in this photo, it's really close to each other. Even small walls between the families, even no privacies at all for the families inside the camp. You could hear easily your neighbor who lives next to you. So there's no secret at all inside these camps. One also, the problem in the camp, which is we are suffering today from, which is water shortage. As you see, this is Aida camp, how it looked like today. And if you look all the Palestinian roof, not just in Aida today, you will find the loads of tanks water. And through these water tanks, they try to save as much they can inside this water. They could try to save as much they can water until it comes the next time, because Israel control the main sources, which is water and electricity. But I could say we are suffering more with water, especially in the summer. Sometimes we don't have water for 1 month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It depends when they're gonna give us the next time water. We supposed in Aida to get the water every week for 1 day, 6 hours, but to be honest, it takes longer than this. And this is really a big issue. Here, in this mountain here, it is one of the big settlements. It's called Gilo. It's really close from Aida camp. This settlement was built after 67. These settlers, in easy way, they come in Palestine. They're taking the best lands in our country, and they're taking rights more than us as a Palestinian in our land. And even all the countries in the world, they know these settlements are not legal. But Israel is still continuing building these settlements, especially on the land 67. And these settlers taking more rights than us as a Palestinian, which is from this picture, you could see it's less than 2 kilometers. But if we look at the roof or any of the Israeli houses, you will never see any tanks water, because they have a 24-hour fresh water, swimming pool, gardens, whatever they need. Israel control from this water 83% and just 17% for the Palestinian who lives in West Bank. And that's why especially in the summer, we always have a problem with the water because people use more water in the summer and cuts a lot. Electricity also, it's controlled by Israel, but we feel more problem with it in winter, which is it cuts a lot during the day for 2 hours, 3 hours, and cut them back and cut them back. And this is how usual it happens with the electricity. Aida camp, it is under United Nations responsibilities from the beginning, which is they have to give us the healthy care, education, finding us job, safety, security. But to be honest, we don't see much from the United Nations. Every year, the service is getting less and less and less. If we're talking about what they are doing today for Aida resident, they run just the 2 schools until age 15 years old. And after that, the kids, they have to move to Bethlehem schools to continue their education. And also, the second thing, they help some workers or they pay some workers who clean the camp. And this is what we get from this United Nations, which is they're supposed to give us more. You have to know also one important point, which is United Nations after the catastrophe in 1948, they made the resolution 194, and which is in this resolution, they promise the Palestinian refugees that they have to go back to their homes, and the Israeli government, they have to pay money to this money of what is happening to them and through all the situation they go through it. But until today, this agreement is still in paper, never happened in the ground, and we are still waiting the United Nations to make it happen. Today, as a Palestinian refugees, we're not asking the UNRWA to do anything to us. Even we don't want them to give us food or to give us money. The only things we're looking for today to make that resolution that they promise us with, and we want to go back to our homes, or we want to take back all our rights at least. We don't want to continue living inside these refugees camp. But because of the policy of America and the relationship with Israel and America, it is really difficult to see this agreement happen, because all the pressure, even against the UNRWA office or United Nations from America, to make them stop working with the Palestinian refugees. And they meant it when they stopped give less service to the Palestinian refugees, not just in Aida, in all the Palestinian refugees camp, because they want the people to say, we don't want UNRWA offices anymore in these camps. But we understand very well what this occupation, what this occupier and America government trying to do with this issue. Beside of this, our catastrophe, it wasn't just in 1948. It is every day there is a catastrophe. The Nakba is still ongoing, as we always say. So everywhere there is something happening. It's not just in 1948. If I just want to give you a number of 3 stations for the Palestinian, during the British mandate from 1922 to 1947, more than 150,000 Palestinians were displaced. With the Nakba, which is during the catastrophe in 1948, over than 750,000 Palestinians were displaced from their homes. And in 1967, which is during the Nakba, more than 450,000 Palestinians were also displaced from their homes. And we were saying also displaced, not just even they are still here. Also lots of these people are moved outside of the country, which is, there is no any chance for them to come back here. As when we're talking about the Palestinian refugees who lives today in Jordan or in Lebanon or in Syria, these ones, they are not allowed at all for them to come back to Palestine. And today there is lots of many numbers, which is I could share about this of the occupation. I just want to put a short spot, which is, it will be more easy to explain. Just a second. Okay. With this spot, it gives more information about where are the Palestinian refugees who's inside Palestine and outside Palestine. And then I'm gonna continue about the ongoing Nakba and the daily life under this occupation. You can see it?
No. We cannot see.
We cannot.
Okay. Just a second. Sorry. Okay.
Now, yes.
Yeah. So this is the numbers of where the Palestinian refugees are today and how many percent all of these places. Today, as a Palestinian inside Palestine, we're talking about 6 million Palestinians living in Palestine, and there is another 6 millions abroad of Palestine, which is also, these 6 millions also, they have the right of return to this country. But Israel, until today, they're not accepting them and they don't want them to come back to this land. I just want to go quickly to talk about the daily life of Aida camp and about how Israel occupation dealing with the people inside this camp. I'm talking about Aida camp during the second Intifada. I could say it is one of the most place was attacked by the Israeli army, especially during the second Intifada. And I could say, especially when they built the apartheid wall surrounding the camp, if you look at this picture, you could see from here, they built the wall surrounding the camp from this side, which is in 2004. Before this time, or before the wall, all this open land, it was related to Aida camp because we didn't have much space inside the camp to play or to spend time. So we used to spend most of our time in this land. 2004, Israel started building the apartheid wall and they took so much from this land. As Aida resident, we started protesting every day against this idea because we know how much will affect our life if they do building this wall. 2007, they finished building the wall surrounding the camp. We have lost about 5 young people during just the time they building the wall. Hundreds of people were injured. More than 200 people were arrested, and their ages from 13 to 25 years old, and some of them until today still in prison. Even with this wall, they built 6 military watchtower, as you see, surrounded the camp. From the front side of the camp also, we have this military base with the same story with the wall and military watchtowers, as you see. Over than 20 security cameras as well with this apartheid wall and this inside or on this military base. So kind of all our life it's controlled by these soldiers and by these snipers. Many people were shot from these watchtowers. This one especially here, my cousin in 2006, he was standing in his house, like in the balcony, playing with my other cousins, and one soldier shot at them 6 live bullets without no reason at all. And one of the bullets hit my cousin in his stomach, and he was lucky he survived after 2 weeks. Even after 2 weeks, the soldier invaded his house because my uncle, he made a case against the soldier who shot my cousin. So because my uncle, he did the case, the soldier invaded the house after my cousin come back home in the middle of the night in a forces way. They broke lots of things inside the house. And when my uncle asking them why you are here, and they respond him, we're here looking for a gun because when we shot your son, he had a gun, and that's why we're here. My cousin, he was 12 years old in that time. It was even my other cousins, 9 years old, 8 and 10, they were playing with him, and even they were injured, not straightly with the bullet. It's like from, I don't know why you call it in English, like when the bullet is exploding, like some small pieces comes from it. So it hit them in the bodies. So they were lying and they creating any stories or any excuse to protecting themselves in the court. And after they left the house, there is many people were injured from, as I said, from these watchtowers without no reason. Few were killed as well from these watchtowers. From this side also, you could see this is Aida Cam resident houses, some of it. And this is one of the closest watchtower to Aida camp. And this is a clear image for the settlements, which is nearby the camp. This one, it was very annoying watchtower for Aida residents because especially for this neighborhood, people, they used to close the shutters 24 hours because soldiers always watching them inside their home, so they never feel comfortable inside their house. I could say after the last 3-4 years, they stopped using 24 hours, especially this one, after the burning from the youth the last time. So the soldier, they put soldiers from time to time here when they have an operation inside Aida camp. There is many stories to share about the Israeli soldier invaded. I will suggest it to you, maybe Louisa or any of you, you could share with the people the link of the video about the Aida camp, which is in YouTube. You can have it in French, in Spanish, and in English, in the 3 languages. You can watch this video, which is 12 minutes. It shows how the Israeli soldier dealing with the people inside Aida camp. Aida camp, it is very sensitive place because of this military base, and also because of these watchtowers and the wall close to the camp. So it's really always in touch with these soldiers. From time to time, they invaded the camp. 3 days ago, the whole camp was tear gas, was shot by the soldiers without no reason at all, which is we have an event inside the Laji Center, which is every year we do it, which is the Kite Festival. Each child, he can make his own kite and he write his home village or wherever he wants. It's related about like the catastrophe. So when this moment the children start arriving to the entrance of the camp, the soldier opened the gate of the military base and they start shooting tear gas to them. And then they send another jeep and he shot so many tear gas to all people houses in a way to punish everyone. So whatever even we're trying to do, they always punishing us. Doesn't matter if you're throwing stones or you're taking pictures. It's all the same things, the same picture or the same image for this occupation. Because in the end of the day, we are the enemy. They will never treating us normally. Whatever we choose the way to protest in front of this occupier. Aida camp had many invaded in the middle of the night, especially I could say, and they sent lots of soldiers sneaking inside the house, like between 1 a.m., 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. With the dogs, with the ready to shoot in any moment. They send really young soldiers. They search different houses and they leave. Most of the invaded to Aida camp, I could say it's not more than training for a new unit for the Israeli soldiers. Not always they have a reason for why they are inside one of these houses in the camp. And even if they have a reason, you're not allowed to ask why you are here and what are you doing. Even if they are going to arrest one of the children inside the camp, which is 11 years old or 12 years old, they will not ask the permit from his parents. They will take the child and his parents, they have to wait for 1 week or 2 weeks, it depends, until they tell them what is happening and why they arrested the child. So this is very shortly about the camp, about the situation in Palestine. I don't know. I talk about my work that much, but if you want, I can leave for you like some questions about this, or I can talk quickly about my work about Laji and then leave it for you for any questions you would like to ask. Tell me, what do you think?
I think as you prefer. Do you have the store soon?
It's okay. I was late already, so I can be late.
Okay.
No problem.
It's up to you.
Yeah, because it started already, so it's okay.
But then I think it could be quite interesting for us to hear about your work. Mm-hmm. And then we could have a short session with questions.
Yeah. I'm sorry because I was talking very quickly because I tried to cover whole subject because it's not something easy to talk about the whole issue from the beginning with so much details. So when you have the time for questions, feel free to ask any questions you have, any of you. I will go quickly talking about my work. As I said, LAGI Center, it is an NGO's organization. Officially it was established in 2000 by a young group from Aida camp. LAGI, it's mean refugee. And the idea to create this organization to give a chance for the children and the youth in the camp to grow their skills in different units, to learn more about their rights as a Palestinian or as a Palestinian refugees living in Palestine. Today we have different units. We have the media unit, teaching kids and youth to do short films and taking pictures. We have the environment unit, do recycling, building rooftop gardening, graffitis. We have the community health workers also working with over than 118 patients inside Aida and Al Azza camp, checking the blood pressure and diabetes because we don't have a clinic inside the camp, and working sometimes with some of the emergency cases inside the camp. We have a music project by the children leads since 2014, playing different instruments. We have the Palestinian folklore dance, which is dabka, by a group of children play dancing. We have regular activities in the library, which is pushing kids to read stories, different games playing. This is a picture of the dabka. This is a picture of the Kite Festival, which is every year we run it during the Nakba commercial. We have also a photo here, some of the community health workers. Also, literally, we starting with the project Circus group. We are already now working with a group of children to teach them circus. It is in collaboration with our friends in Spain, and literally also we had a gym opened for Aida residents in a collaboration with the Irish community in Ireland. Here also another picture of the children's summer camps. Every year we run. Over than 200 kids participate in this summer camp, doing different activities, mainly take them different places like for a trip. Photo of one of the group of the musicians in the camp we have. So we have lots of activities. You can follow us in Facebook page every day or almost we post something about our activities and what we do. Also, you can visit our website, lagi.bs, sorry, not .org, because it was attacked again, the page, so then we have to change it. So now it is .bs, not .org. Personally, as I said, I grew up with this organization, and the first time I carried a camera when I was 15 years old. I was involved with children inside the center with the first photography course, which is a photographer gave us a film camera, and he said, you have 30 pictures and you have to finish it inside the camp. I was one of these children. We were 20. I went to the camp. I finished all the 30 images, and when I come back, he chose 2 photography. And this one is one of my first photography I had took, which is he created a project called Dreams and Nightmares, which is each child can take a photo of his dream and his nightmare. So this is my nightmare, my dream photo, which was to be the captain of the Palestinian football team. And this is my nightmare photo here. I took this picture, which is I was afraid one night to be arrested, or one of my family get arrested, or any of the children in the camp. It happened, this nightmare, after 8 years. I took this picture. I was arrested for 8 days without no reason. But my dream never happened, and I didn't think it will happen one day even, because I'm a photographer now. Here also some of my work, which is the first exhibition I had done by myself in the beginning, which is in 2019 and 2010. I called it Reflection of Palestine. Each picture is reflected a story about Palestine, as you see here. The key, as I told you, the story behind this key. This slide is very knows for the families because it was used in 1948 and also when they moved to the camp in the first 10 years because there was no electricity. Here also reflected from the mirror to the one of the settlement to the settlements nearby the camp. This is one of my favorite photo, which is she's my grandmother. She was living in my home village in before 1948 in Beit Jibrin. And today she moved, she lives in one of the refugees camp here in Bethlehem. This is the shape of map of Palestine, and this is, I called it a map of Palestine. And you could see the face of my grandmother, the clothes of the Palestinian traditional clothes, which is from her face, I could say I reflect all the Palestinian history and struggle through her face and eyes from this picture. Another project, I called it Images Behind the Screen. I took this frame everywhere I go, and I took these images from it, and all the pictures, all the subjects inside its movement, in a way to give a message to the world, like we have lots of stories to talk about our life, to show, even not just about occupation, also other stories we could talk about, which is our traditions, our culture, different story we can show about us as a Palestinian. This is also one of the pictures that I have taken for the same project. A child riding a horse nearby the Apartheid wall. 2010 and 9 also, I start teaching photography and film to the children and youth inside the camp and also outside the camp through our projects. And we produce together a lots of different work, photography book, also short films. For me, it wasn't just like learning of pictures or taking pictures or making just a movie. For me, I was taking it, or the reason I decided to continue with this because I felt it's really important to have a media in it in the camp and to cover of what is happening. And especially before 2005, it was no one had a chance to have a camera or no one knows how to take pictures even. And lots of stories happened inside the camp before 2005, but no one documented. And we used to, I remember our colleagues in the center when they were talking to a group from abroad and telling them about what was happening in the camp. It wasn't the same when you show them a picture or a video. Okay, they were telling them the story, but people they will not really believe you as when they see a picture or a video of what you're talking about. So this is one of the reasons it's making me continue with it. I really like it. I take it in the beginning as artistic work. I never thought that I'm gonna be a photojournalist, but because of the situation, I found myself in the field and I'm a journalist. So I could say after 2010, I start working in the field of the photojournalism, and I have no idea about it, how to do this before, no experience. It was very difficult the first time, and until now even difficult, but I didn't know what really, like how to do when I'm nearby the soldier, what I should do. I remember the first time I was trying to cover the Israeli invaded to the camp. The moment they start running behind the youth and the children, I start running with the youth and the children because I thought I shouldn't be there because they will arrested me. The second time I decided to be in the same area, not to move because I'm a journalist. I thought they would respected me, but it was not. They always were asking me to leave the area. Many times they broke my camera, many times they took the footage I captured. So it wasn't easy at all. It's like always you're stressed, you not feel comfortable of what you're doing. I covered lots of materials, lots of invasions inside the camp. You can find it on YouTube today, in my channel or in Laji Laji channel on YouTube. You can find some of this work. This image is, it's like in the entrance of the camp in one of the demonstrations in 2012. Especially it was a big attack in Gaza in that time. Some of the pictures they have captured, children putting a Palestinian flag on the wall, burning the watchtower with this with our car tires, some children collecting stones, a photo of someone with the youth throwing back the tear gas to the soldier side after they shot it. I take photos of different ages when they were arrested. Children mainly, as you see, injury people inside the camp, martyrs, which is here, Saleh Al-Amari. He was 13 years old. He was exactly standing here, and from this military base, Israeli soldier shot him a live bullet in his head, and he died immediately in this area. The tear gas inside the camp. Aida camp, after the United Nations research in 2017, they found out that Aida camp is one of the most place was tear gas in the war, not just in Palestine. So yeah, this is in general about my work. The biggest things happening, which I never thought or expected that's gonna happen to me, that to be shot from the soldier when I am nearby them. April 8, 2013, this group of soldiers invaded the camp without no reason. It was no demonstrations, no protest, nothing at all. I was in my office because close to the military base. I saw this group of soldiers shooting. I started taking photos from the balcony. I captured them when they enter the entrance of the camp here. After 2 hours, they go back and they stopped in front of me. It was very strange. They didn't ask me to leave or to stop taking photos or anything. So after 2 hours, when they get back and they stopped in front of me, as you see this soldier and this one here, and one of them here, he shot at me when I was in the balcony. So the space was about 10 meters. And he told me, go home. Usually I didn't listen to them even, to be honest, because I always responding them, I'm doing my work, I'm not doing anything to you, so why I have to leave? And I keep doing what I'm doing. I just closed the window of the balcony, and the moment I decide to close the door of the balcony, this soldier who's standing here, I just saw the flash of his fire. He moved his gun to my side and he shot me the bullet in my face. They called it rubber bullet, which is steel metal bullet. It's covered with 0.5 milli of plastic and all inside it's metal. It's the size of it, it's like this. So all of it was shot here, broken all the bones and stuck inside. I was so lucky because he wasn't just planning to kill me. He was he wasn't planning just to shoot me. He was planning even to killing me. If I didn't move my face, he's shooting me in my eye. I was kind of really lucky. Takes me a while to leave the center, bleeding in the stairs of the center. This is the soldier who shot me. I know him very well. I know, like, because I have a lots of photos of him. This is my face when I was shot. This is the bullet inside my face. This is the stair where I was bleeding in the center. This is the bullet that was in my face when he shot me. Lots of Palestinians were killed from this rubber bullet they have. When people abroad, they heard about rubber bullet, they thought it's something small. To be honest, many of the Palestinians were killed from this rubber bullet because it is full of metal inside. It's covered with half million of a plastic. I spent 17 days in hospital. I had over than 4 surgeries. They took this bullet out of my face, and the second surgery takes them more than 8 hours. They find no bones they could use in my face. The eye, it moves. They took a bone from my side. They put it under the eye. 7 pieces of a platinum. And my eye, of course, is affected, so I stopped using it and taking photos from this eye. So I found it difficult later to train this eye to taking photos. And to today, I'm still suffering from it, but it's still better than nothing. After 17 days, I left the hospital and I went home. The first night I back home, the soldier invaded my house, more than 40 soldiers, break the main door in the middle of the night. They took most of my family outside of the house. I was luckily moving from my house around 12 a.m. to my sister's house, which is living nearby us. At 1, the soldier entered the house and they were looking for me, and my mother telling them, like, what do you want from him? He shot him and now you're coming to arrest him. And they said, no, we're just here to see how he's doing. And she told him, okay, if you want him, go find him, he's in the hospital. And he was telling her, no, you're lying, he just came back last night. And she told him, like, you search the house, if you want to continue searching, and if you find him here, just take him. After that night, I didn't stay at my house for 2 months, sleeping in different places in Bethlehem, because the soldier they want to arrest me. They came during the 2 months over than 3 times. They beated most my family, breaking many things inside the house. Until I decide after 2 months to go back. The first night I go back to my house, the soldier invaded the house in the middle of the night. Over than 100 soldiers. They beated my cousins, my uncles, most of the family, because we are living together in the same area. And then when they find me, they start beating me up. I was telling them, like, beat me wherever you want, but not in my face. The moment I said that, they meant it and they hit me again in my face. And then they took me to the military base, which is nearby the camp. I was detained in prison for 11 days. I went for interrogation. I was surprised from the interrogation. We were talking about that. They arrested me because I covered all the clashes and all what is happening in the camp. And I was surprised from that. And I was telling them, like, this is my work. I will not say no, I'm not doing it. Of course, I do it. It's all online even. And then when he find me talking about like this way, I'm not afraid, he starts saying, yeah, also there some of the children, some of the youth, they're saying like you are involved with the clashes, pushing people to do demonstrations. And it's very, very clear what I'm doing. And I was saying, like, of course it's not, you know very well, even more than me, what I'm doing. So don't pretend that or making any stories just to charge me in prison. After 5 courts, I was released. They charged me money, and they like $500. They told me your case is still ongoing, and we're gonna work more in your file. And if we have more information about your arrest, we're gonna arrest you again, and you have to come every month to the military court. I spend 3 years every month. I go to this court, spending the whole day, and when my turn comes, they told me we delayed your court to the next month. Today, still my case ongoing. I'm still waiting the next court. I didn't know when they tell my lawyer about it. Until now, I have no information about it and what's happening. Even they make it more difficult for me when I moved inside West Bank. Any checkpoint, they give me paper for interrogation, or they stop me for hours. Once I tried to leave Palestine, they didn't allow me. They returned me back. So always they make it more difficult as much they can, because all of what they're doing now, because wasn't enough for them to shoot me. It's not fine for them that I make a case against the soldier who shot me because I have a photo. So all these difficulties, they're doing it because they want me to go and to say I don't want to make a case against the soldier who shot me. But this is to be in their dream that I will do it in one day. Whatever they're gonna do, I will continue with this case because I was shot without no reason. I was shot clearly in front of these soldiers. They could see what I'm doing, taking pictures. They could know very well what I'm doing. I'm not hurting them or anything. It is not by accident. He knows very well what he's doing when he shot me. For sure, I will not forgive him. And I could say this soldier, after he shot me, he gave me the power to continue with what I'm doing. Because in a way, kind of, I felt in a moment what I'm doing not enough for my country, but he gave me more power to continue with this after he shot me, because it is very important for us as a Palestinian to talk about the situation here, to show the people abroad the reality of our life in Palestine, from the pictures, from the videos, or any kind of tools. It could be useful to talk about our suffering. It is really important. I talk so much. Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Moussa.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now we can pass for the questions, no?
Yeah. So I have a question. It is most of the people on here are the first time they know about Palestine, or you already have an idea about it?
You can unmute yourselves and answer.
As to me, I had heard about Palestine many times, but never really get into the topic, because every time I was asking people to tell me more, they said they didn't want to speak about it because it was too much a hard topic. So I'm very grateful to this meeting, because finally I can understand, and not only understand, but really go deeply into it. And I mean, very often it's not just about political, but more about humans, and this is speaking a lot in this side. So I'm really thankful for you to share with us what you live, and also for you girls to tell us about your experiences. Really meaningful. That's it.
I hope I was useful for you and for all the information I had shared with you. I know it is very not easy to talk about the situation in Palestine quickly, like in a short event. But with the time, you will learn more and more. And even as I always telling people, I don't have to be right what I'm saying, or maybe I'm lying to you, you know, because in this world it's not easy to trust anyone. But it could be a way to open your eyes at least about the situation in Palestine. It could be a chance for you also to read more about what is happening here. And also, I could say, because of coronavirus now, it is very hard. It's the best way, even if you want really to know and understanding more, just to come and visit this country here. Even if no one explaining to you what is happening, you will understand by yourself what's going on, what is mean occupation, just from the picture you're gonna see by your eyes when you're walking around.
How is the situation for people to visit Palestine and Israel? Like, is it easy to get into the refugee camps, like the one in which you're living, or it's hard? Like they were talking about barriers to cross with military stuff.
Of course, you could come visiting us in Palestine. We have a program which is the International Summer Camp. You could tell more about it, girls, because you were there. But I will shortly. This is program give you more idea about the situation in Palestine, what's happening. But how we always doing it, the most important, if any of our friends or anyone wants to come to see the Palestinian side, we always asking them not to mention anything about Palestine, because the only way to cross or to come to this country, it is from the Israeli border, because they are controlling the border. There is no Palestinian, it's just Israeli police and soldiers. So when you arrive to the airport, you don't have to mention anything about Palestine. You have to say you're here to visit Israel, you're here to, for a tourist reason, like to spend the holiday or whatever. And that's it. And then you can come. But the moment you mention that you're gonna go to Palestine or you're gonna go to a refugee camp, I could say 80% or 90% they will return you back to your country. They will not let you in because they will know that you are supporting Palestinian. So it's not really scary, but when we have a volunteer wants to come here to Aida or to the summer camp program, we always explain to them what they should do, and always work most of the time as this. You can tell also, Gare, if you want to add anything. Andre, Rihanna.
I would like to add something, because Sarah, Francine, probably for you it will be easy, because from where you are?
I'm from Italy.
Yeah, so probably for you it will be easy because you have a EU passport. So even if you go to Palestine, which is the older country, like, because for me Israel is not a country. So if you go to Palestine, doesn't matter if Israel or not, you will be able to enter, of course, just because of your passport, because you are Italian, and you go as a tourist, even if you go to a refugee camp or to visit West Bank or wherever, because Gaza you cannot visit. But if you go to visit any place, you are, of course, in European. So you will be able to enter, which for other persons maybe is not so, they don't have this opportunity or that chance. So there is this part of, maybe it's a privilege.
Yeah, they will not question you so much when you have the European passport, as they would do with Arab descendant, or, yeah. In that case, it becomes more complicated and they can put you in interrogation for hours. Just because of your name or your appearance.
Origin, yeah.
Yeah. But of course, as Moussa was saying, you should never say that you are going to a refugee camp, even with a European passport, because then you just risk that they will put you in a plane and send you back. So you just try to, say, I'm a tourist. I just come to enjoy, to have parties, to whatever. And then if it's your first time, many times they don't even ask you that much. For me, it was like not even 5 minutes.
Yeah, same.
When I enter, and then that's it. Like maybe if I go a second time, or when I go the second time, they will ask me more. But right now, like the first time, it was quite easy. No much restrictions. And
I had 2 students that we went to Palestine in October, and we were a team of 7, I think. So I was their teacher, so I took them there, and 2 of them, they were Spanish, but doesn't matter if they are Spanish or not. Actually, your nationality doesn't matter. What does matter is what you said. And they were a bit nervous. They say, yeah, we are going to Palestine, etc. So the Israeli forces, they put them in 24 hours alone in the airport, waiting for the next plane to come to take them to their own. So they were kind of, how I can say, what is the word?
Exposed?
No, yeah, expulsed. I don't know if it's, yes, expulsed. Plus, they obligate them to sign a paper that they were committing illegal immigration inside of Israel. So now that two students of mine, that they are not anymore, they cannot enter in their life Israel, which is Palestine, let's say, but is occupied by Israel. So they cannot enter in their life because they are in the blacklist of Israel policies. I don't know.
So yeah, in the end, it's not complicated. Just you have to be ready for it. Like the most important, not to mention anything about Palestine, and then easily you can reach us. The moment you pass the airport, you can move wherever you want. There, like even if you cross the checkpoint from Jerusalem to Bethlehem, it's not a big deal. It's not their business to asking you why you're going there or why you're here. You know, it's just the most important in the airport. The moment they give you the visa and you cross, then you totally fine. So yeah. Now it's Corona, so no way.
But I would recommend all of you, like, we can put the links of Laje, and then you can just follow up like what they do, because they do a great job. And then you will receive also more updates when the next international camp will be. And I really recommend you all to go. It's a great experience to meet Palestinians. They are always very welcoming. They just want to talk. They just want to really make people understand what is happening. And yeah, for me it was a great experience. I will always be very grateful of that opportunity that they gave me, and yeah, I will always encourage people to go. So yeah, you can follow up and see if it's not this year because of Corona.
It's next year.
It's next year. So,
but also I advise that it's very good to go to see. It's very beautiful, but as long as you don't do nothing after that, you don't need to go.
Yeah.
If you don't think to do like something to be an activist, or say after visiting Palestine, I don't advise you to go. Because if it's just to go to see what is mean to be in occupied territory, if you don't do nothing after, I don't advise.
And doing something is, for example, talking about it, sharing about it with your family, with your friends, and to be sure that people start to be aware of how they might be supporting also Israel in their daily life, and to be aware of, for example, how can you also boycott, for example, Israel from where you are by making aware choices about your consumption. What do you buy? From where do you buy stuff? Are you sure that what you buy is not supporting Israel? And this is very important as I think Europeans and people living in the rest of the world to be aware of. And that's how you can, from far away, still support Palestinians. And yeah, and I very much support what Rima is saying, that is very important after seeing and after learning to pass the message, to share.
And you don't need to go there also to share. Like
exactly.
You know, many times we think that we are not ready to talk about a topic because we cannot answer all the questions. But if you just raise some, I don't know,
awareness,
these questions, and then people can try to answer by themselves and try to find the people who will answer those questions. That's already something.
As long as you have a stand, you just fight for that. And our stand is Palestine, so
yeah, well, I think it's very visible.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but,
yeah.
I want to say something more.
Yeah, maybe like some more, like the last question, maybe, because yeah, Moussa also
needs to go.
Hey, I just wanted to ask you, can you share this link about the summer camp? It would be very, very nice to learn more. And
Yeah.
I wanted to thank you very much. I wanted to ask to answer the first question asked by Moussa. So I think a lot of people know, and the awareness is getting. We are getting more aware of the situation of Palestine. I was reading a lot about it, and I was sharing with, but I never had the opportunity to hear from Palestinian about it. So I'm very, very thankful about this sharing. So thank you so much. I am waiting for the link. Thanks.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you for it.
Okay.
So if you have any other question, maybe you could just write them in the chat. I don't know if we can still see the chat afterwards.
After the meeting, no.
No. Okay. So maybe this is your last chance. Otherwise,
Like maybe you can also write them to like DNS in the website, and then we can just make them like we can just send them to Moussa, and then maybe like just write something personally to you, or maybe an article. Like I don't know. Like it's very possible like to answer those questions.
If you just send them to the NS page, as a private message, we can make sure that they will be answered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
so,
thank you very much,
Thank
Moussa.
you very much, Moussa, for your time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Shukran.
Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shukran.
Bye. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Do you want to stop the recording? Yes, no?